This is part 21 from Trust to Trauma with Dating My Therapist. So after we had got home from Kay's apartment, we had got ready for bed. And I said to my daughter, I said, you feeling okay? She said, yeah, I'm okay. I said, you're not thinking about hurting yourself in that night? She's like, no. It's like, okay. I was like, all right, girl, I'm about to go to bed. And because we got work tomorrow, you got school, let's go ahead and get this day out the way. It was a Friday, by the way, that morning. Friday morning. I never forget it. So it's Friday morning. I'm getting ready for work per usual. Usually Zai is up way before me. She would get up at like 5-ish in the morning, like at least an hour before I do, and get herself ready. That was just her routine. So when I had got up, I had realized that her light was on. So I was just like, oh yeah, she up getting ready and stuff. So I'm getting myself ready and everything. And so I end up going to her room, and I noticed that the door was locked. I'm knocking on the door, calling her name or whatever, and she ain't saying nothing. So I'm like panicking a little bit, because I know what we had just talked about the night before. So I end up getting like a butter knife or whatever and put it in between like the door to mess with the lock, and I finally got in. I came into her room and there were pills all over the bed. And she looked like she was unconscious laying down. And so she was slurring at the mouth when I was asking her if she had taken the pills. Because I wasn't sure. It was so many on the bed and the pill bottle was still there. I didn't know whether she had took like one or two or what. I'm like, you took these pills? And she nodded like, yes. She couldn't really get it out. And I was like, oh my God, like how much did you take? And she said she had a handful like this and she did like that. Oh my God, y'all. And I'm trying my best to tell the story without like crying. So yeah, I'm panicking at this point. I haven't even told my mom. I'm just like, okay, can you stand up? She tried to stand up and I said, okay, do you feel like you got to throw up? So she stood up and she immediately went to the bathroom to throw up. She said I had been throwing up all night, basically. And I had no clue. I was dead asleep. I didn't hear anything. But at this point, she can barely walk. And the pills that were on her bed were Tylenol, 800 milligram. Yeah. So I got my daughter into the car and I just drove to the hospital. I'm texting my job like, hey, I told them the situation and they're like, oh my God, I am so sorry. We're here for you. If you need anything, keep us posted, but please focus on your daughter. Don't worry about anything else. And I was so grateful for that because y'all, like, I felt like my whole world was coming to an end. So we get to the hospital. I tell them what's going on. They immediately rush her to a room. They got her on the stretcher quick. They had her hooked up to so many different things. And just seeing her body looking so lifeless, just laying there, it just really pained me. After they hooked some things up to her, they end up giving her some different type of medications to help, with balancing out the poison that was in her blood. They started doing like some testing and everything, and they said that her, the count of the Tylenol was so high that her liver was starting to become damaged. So they started to give her, different doses of medicine. So it went from, like 4 hours to like 8 hours to like 12 hours. And so at that point, I knew we weren't going anywhere, no time soon. I had been reaching out to Kay. She was asleep because it was so early in the morning. So when she finally got to me, she immediately was on the way. So I ended up reaching out to my mom after the first dosage, which was like just a couple of hours. And I told her the situation. Of course, you know, she's hurt and, you know, confused and asking about how she's doing and everything. And, you know, after a few hours, they ended up moving us to another room where she was stable for a little while they ran dosage and everything on medicine and stuff. At that point, I just didn't know what to think. You know, she would just, you know, say things like, oh, I'm just giving up. I just can't do this. This is just too painful. This is just too much. And for her to just say she's giving up, y'all, like it just took something out of me. There's been so many times in my life where I just wanted to leave. But I was strong enough to stay here for her. But she was so quick to just, you know, to try to leave. That just broke me, y'all. Every 5 seconds, you know, the doctor is pulling me outside and they're just like, you know, we just want to follow up with you after doing some blood tests and things like that. And they're just like, you know, she's not getting any better. Not yet, but we don't want to lose hope. That's not the type of conversation that I'm wanting to have. So they end up moving my daughter from the room to the ICU. No, she's not eating, she's not really drinking, she's not really doing much, but just laying there really in pain and throwing up every second. And it's just a lot. It's gotta be a dream. It just gotta be a dream. So at this point, it is Sunday. 2 days that we have been in the hospital with Zaya. And I ended up reaching out to my vice president. I worked under the vice president. So I reached out to her to let her know what was going on with Zaya, just giving her an update. And I asked her, you know, hey, can I work from home? Work from the hospital, whatever, because a lot of the tasks that I had required for me to just be connected to Wi-Fi. We had no installations that were coming up, so it actually worked out pretty good for me to work from the hospital. Monday comes, Zaya is stable enough for me to be able to, you know, work or whatever from my laptop. So I find out that Zai is going to be in ICU for at least a week, the rest of the week or whatever. So I end up reaching out to my vice president again, you know, and I'm like, hey, you know, this is the update. All of my projects are caught up. There's no installations coming up. Just like, are you sure, you know, like you can totally take the time off, you know what I'm saying, to be able to, focus on your daughter. Like, yeah, of course. I said, but will it be paid? So she was like, well, let's do this. She was like, when I call, she said, at 5 p.m., will you be free to talk? And we can just talk about the options and stuff. And I was just like, okay, yeah, that's cool. She's still stable in ICU. So I decided that I was going to leave the hospital just to get some fresh air. I was on the phone with Kay at the time. And so I had forgot that my the vice president was calling me. And so I ended up answering the phone or whatever, and I had went on and clicked KN. I was just like, look, my brain is all over the place. Whatever she tell me, just take some damn notes. Shit, I can't function right now. So I get on the phone with her, you know, and she's like, hey, you know, like, how's everything going? You know, I'm really sorry to hear that this is happening. I know this is a lot for you. And I'm like, it really has been. And I'm telling her about everything. And she used to tell me, she was just like, you know, this week we had been doing a lot of thinking. And we know how important it is for you to be there for your daughter, and I really hate to give you this information while you're in the hospital, but we are deciding to let you go.